The Royal Rumble is that time of year where WWE gets extra fun. They seem to always try to turn it up and make it so that things are extra exciting because it is the beginning of the road to WrestleMania. This video is going to be me counting down the worst to the best winners of the Royal Rumble. And as wrestling fans know, there have been plenty of multi-time winners of the Royal Rumble. And with that, anytime that a person or a man has won more than one time, I will consolidate said victories into their classification. So, in the case of Steve Austin, he will not be on the list 3 times. He will be on the list 1 time, and his 3 victories will be talked about in his ranking. So after that open rolls, I'm going to break it down from the worst to the best in this countdown for the Royal Rumble. Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular here at Mr. Super Oz, I just want to thank you for tuning in to the channel. It exists because I, Oz, from the channel Mr. Super Oz, I wrote a 68-page graphic novel called Everlasting Survivors. Volume 1 is called All Day Long. If you follow the link in the description of this video, you can get yourself hats, shirts, posters, all kinds of fun things. But most importantly, you can get the story itself. And the more people that pick up the story, the greater the chances are that there can be continued adventures with these heroes. If you could, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, enjoy. There was never any doubt. I've done the list more than once. I've typed it, I've rewritten it, I've done all kinds of things. There was never any doubt. The worst ever Royal Rumble winner, in my opinion, is Mr. McMahon. When you have a match that is designed or intended for the winner to main event WrestleMania, and then the owner of the company, who is not a wrestler, never has been, never will be, wins, well, that just tells you that you made the wrong decision. I understand that it all led to storyline shenanigans, but Mr. McMahon is not the man for the job when it comes to winning a match that is supposed to get you excited to watch or want to watch WrestleMania. The next man on the list is the first ever winner of the Royal Rumble before it was a pay-per-view, and before they figured out that 30 was the magic number, that being Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So his 20-man Royal Rumble win is the second to worst, in my opinion, because they had not yet figured out what the point of the Royal Rumble is. I mean, other than we want to do a TV special, and Dick Ebersol liked Pat Patterson's pitch. And so with that, the 25 or 25th worst winner is the next winner of the Royal Rumble, that being Big John Studd. They still hadn't figured out the concept. They did add 10 wrestlers and make it the first ever 30-man Royal Rumble match. But even with the 10 additional wrestlers, they hadn't figured out the formula that you need to have stakes within it. And that leads us to number 24. And really, to me, the thing that really put it over the top with needing stakes, and that's when you have 2 back-to-back years of your WWF champion, Hulk Hogan, winning the Royal Rumble. It's like, well, what's the point in this match? Because the match means nothing if all you're doing is having your champion show that he's significantly more dominant than 29 other men. It's like, oh, okay, but I mean, don't you kind of prove that by holding the strap yourself? And with that, it just seemed like we have to find a way to make this match matter, which they did the following year, so good on them. Number 23, again, they broke the mold, they changed the formula, and it was not for the best. It was boring, it was bloated, it was 40 men. It was Alberto Del Rio winning, and then not main eventing WrestleMania, but opening WrestleMania. And see, that's another one of my big criterias for whether or not I feel like a winner should advance high in the standings of the countdown is what came of your victory. Were you a WrestleMania main eventer? Did you win the thing? How'd the crowd feel? Things of that nature. And that's why number 22 is Shinsuke Nakamura. It's no knock on his actual Royal Rumble match victory, because that was done well. It was executed well with the three modern guys versus the three quote-unquote legends, as opposed to them and Nakamura winning. But it's the idea that his Mania title match went on in the middle of the show. It was underwhelming. Then he turned heel and then became obsessed with low blows for far too long. So number 21, again, it's not a knock on the actual Royal Rumble match, because the closing of the match, where Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, number 21 is The Undertaker, had a fun little mini match to close out the Royal Rumble, but it's a knock on the fact that this victory, The Undertaker coming in at 30 and winning the Royal Rumble, took the victory away from someone else, because The Undertaker is guaranteed a big match just because he's The Undertaker and he has that streak. He's guaranteed to have a big match at WrestleMania, thus he did not need this victory, and that's why, to me, he's, below the top 20 wrestlers to have won the Royal Rumble. Number 20, there is an argument to be made that maybe Taker should have taken the 20th spot, because number 20 is Roman Reigns, and the crowd hated him. They booed The Rock. They wanted anybody else, Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose. They didn't care. They would have taken anyone. But I think that it was a bold move, whereas with The Undertaker, it's not bold, it's pointless. And so that's what got Roman the victory here over The Undertaker, if you will. And then also, I thought Roman versus Brock was stellar. It was a very impressive match. I had low expectations, and it far exceeded them. So, and it did go on last and had the heist of the century, so that was fun. Number 19 is The Rock returning to the Royal Rumble match, not getting booed while holding up Roman Reigns' hands, but creating a confusing ending with the Big Show, and then leading to an also confusing Mania main event. The McMahon in every corner. Did we really need that? I don't think so. It was just, no knock on The Rock, but it was just a time of chaos, and I was not a fan. Number 18 is the first two-time winner on the countdown, where the victories led to the winner getting something, and in this case, a world title shot, WWE title shot, that being Randy Orton. Because Hogan's two victories were just, I don't know, for his ego, I feel like. But one of Randy's victories was very underhanded cheating with Legacy. Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes helped him. And the other one was during the Wyatt family, snake in the midst of the cabin storyline, where Luke Harper was the only one smart enough to realize Randy's out here to get you, Bray. And then it led to that really cringe projection match. And I don't know, it was just, in neither case was the Royal Rumble match particularly bad, but in both cases, the the title match that came after was very not as good as it could have been or possibly should have been. Number 17 is the second man to win from the number one position, that being Chris Benoit. The victory, both at the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, were quite memorable. The only reason he is in the lower end of the scale is due to the wiping away of history and the the way things are. Number 16, Sheamus, and it's funny because to me, Sheamus's victory at the Royal Rumble, while being very surprising, almost takes a back seat to what came after his world title win at WrestleMania in 18 seconds or 8 seconds or whatever it was, I forget now. And that being the Yes Movement, because had Sheamus not won and then squashed Bryan Danielson at WrestleMania, it's curious to think about where things might have gone for him in the WWE. Number 15 is the, as of time of recording, most recent Royal Rumble winner, that being the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I'm not entirely certain he should have won at WrestleMania, but I definitely think there's an argument to be made that Roman Reigns should have lost the undisputed Universal blah 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 championship at some point during the calendar year, and Cody was just as good of a man to dethrone him as anybody. LA Knight, main event Jey Uso. The list goes on because I feel as though Roman's victory, or not victory, retention is just slowing down the product and making it harder to get through. I also enjoy that Cody was pre-announced for the match, and thus when it came down to him being 30, it was fine because no matter where he would have come out, everybody knew, or maybe not knew, but suspected he was winning. So I think that was an interesting call. Number 14 is, at the time, a man they were calling the Kingslayer, but after this win and then the subsequent winning of the Universal title at WrestleMania in a quick fashion, is Seth Rollins when he beat Brock Lesnar and became the Beast Slayer. It was an underwhelming reign, but man, was the victory at the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania top notch. So those things really helped get him in that upper echelon. I mean, because again, he beat Brock, whereas Cody didn't beat Roman. And so with that, it, means something, or at least in my personal view, it means something that if the goal is to win and you win, hey, look at that. It does you well. I'm going to lump numbers 13, 12, 11, 10, and 9 all together because they all share a common trait. Triple H is number 13. Number 12 is Dave Bautista. 11 is Brock Lesnar. 10 is John Cena. And number 9 is Edge. The reason that I'm lumping all of these winners into the same general bracketology, if you will, is because while I was doing the calculations of where I thought each of these fellas fell, I was like, wait a second. Triple H's win when he first won the Royal Rumble for the first time was great. It meant something. He was coming back from injury, and it was executed well. Whereas his second victory, when he was doing the Authority, I'll call it nonsense for lack of a better word, was not a fan. And then the more I did it, the more I went over this section of my top countdown, the more I realized Dave Bautista's first win, while it was muddied by the John Cena and him feet touching at the same time and Vince blowing out his quads, was far superior to his second victory, where the crowd was like anybody but Dave when they didn't get Bryan Danielson. I bet you're sensing a pattern because Brock Lesnar's first victory when he won the Royal Rumble was spectacular. It was the crowning of the next big thing. It was the evolution of the King of the Ring. It was the pushing forward of Brock Lesnar's character. But his second victory was completely and utterly pointless. He was already WWE champion. He didn't have to win the Royal Rumble to get a shot at Roman Reigns. And now, maybe you're wondering, because I have a theory. So you're like, oh, well, they had to do it so that Brock could challenge Roman and unify the titles, and then Roman could go and get to the top spot. And I disagree. I think that all Brock would have needed to do was say, I want this match. Paul would be like, I want him to have your title, so deal. Because to me, the thing that really would have put NXT on that equal footing with Raw and SmackDown is for someone, and to me, the perfect person to have done it would have been Corey Graves. I know this sounds ludicrous, but I'm going to make the pitch anyway, because when am I ever going to get this chance to say this? Corey Graves was granted the ability to return to physical action. And I even believe it was this same year, or very close to it. And so if you have Corey Graves win the Royal Rumble and then say, I'm going home to NXT, the place where I was forced to retire, and I'm winning that NXT championship that I was never able to win, I think that would have made for a great way to elevate NXT to a new plane of existence, if you will. And like I said, Brock winning the second time was absolutely frustrating and pointless. So again, the pattern remains the same. John Cena, his first victory it was like, oh my goodness, this guy's back from his injury already. We don't like him, but we're going to cheer the fact that he's here. It's Madison Square Garden. It's great staging. It's beautiful. Super cool. And then you have to go and do twice in a lifetime crap where we go and break our word, say, oh, Rock Cena once in a lifetime, and then, psych, we're doing it again the next year. And then last and finally, number 9, Edge coming back from his Achilles tear, winning the Rumble, going up against his former tag team partner with the tag team championships no longer at stake, but now the world title at stake against Chris Jericho. Great first Royal Rumble victory. Now, the problem with his second Royal Rumble victory, Edge, is that nobody was home, and it was during the TV screen era. They did have that really cool Edge and Christian reunion spot, if you will, where, nobody thought Christian was going to be in this match. Just like nobody thought Edge was, going to go all the way, if you will. So that whole section shared the similarities of first time great, second time what are we doing? Number 8 on the countdown was a man who, when he walked into the match, he made an impact. A former Impact World Champion under a different name, but Drew McIntyre, when he stepped into the ring for his Royal Rumble victory, he stopped the dominance of Brock Lesnar, who had up until that point been just person steps up and they get knocked down. And so I've long thought that Drew McIntyre's victory was one of the best executed making of a stars. Now, Drew had a great, like I said, run in Impact, great run in NXT, and he was on the rise. But this elimination spot where he got rid of Brock Lesnar out of his moment of dominance, it really changed the game for Drew. And yeah, I just big fan. Number 7 is the match making moment for the Royal Rumble. It is the year where they decided we have to make this Royal Rumble monumental. And with that, they figured out the formula, and when Yokozuna won the Royal Rumble, he became the number 1 contender for the WWF Championship and went on to WrestleMania to win the title for a very short period of time. But still, he won the match over Randy Savage, the Royal Rumble match. Then he beat Bret Hart at WrestleMania. Shortly thereafter, lost the title to Hulk Hogan because Hogan must pose. But still, Yoko makes number 7 because he is the man who started it all when it comes to the winner getting the main event spot at WrestleMania. I might as well tell you number 6 and number 5 at the same time because Lex Luger, number 6, and Bret Hart, number 5, both won the same Royal Rumble match when their feet touched the floor at the same time. It was not nearly as well executed on purpose as it was when it was performed by accident by John Cena and Dave Bautista, but it led to really fun stuff with the coin flip and the both men having to wrestle more than one time on the show at WrestleMania 10. And more importantly, what it was a live audition for Vince McMahon by the crowd to see who among them was going to get the better crowd reaction, and Bret won hands down, and thus went on to WrestleMania 10 to dethrone Yokozuna, who had taken the title from him the year prior. It was very, very good stuff. And the Final Four, which is a very big trope of the Royal Rumble, the Final Four in this countdown are all names that are head and shoulders above the rest. Number 4 himself is a 2-time Royal Rumble winner, the first man to win the Royal Rumble from the number 1 spot. However, I feel as though that is the lesser of the 2 victories because Shawn Michaels' second win, I feel like, was better executed than his first. They shortened the time span between entries in his first victory, thus making it so that his entry at 1 and lasting till 30 was not nearly as impressive because they were, I don't know if they were scared he didn't have the gas or they were overrunning time or what the deal was, but for some reason they sped that thing up. But his second victory, where he didn't win from number 1, but he won for a second year in a row, it was well done. I always found it entertaining when they talked about him getting jumped by cheerleaders at the bar, but I think they were actually Marines, but whatever. Bad guys like to say funny things. Number 3 is a one-time winner of the Royal Rumble, but his one victory was for a lifelong friend and a man that had passed recently, that being his friend Eddie Guerrero. And number 3's winner, or the number 3 placed person on the countdown, is Rey Mysterio. His entry at number 2 when Triple H came out at 1 that year, it was beautiful to watch with the riding in on the low rider, him coming out with the Eddie Guerrero armband, and then going on, oh my goodness, the feud with Randy Orton between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, and then subsequently defeating Randy and Kurt Angle at WrestleMania was just so powerful. I wish that they would have treated his reign with more respect while he had the title, but everything from the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, A1 stuff. Number 2 on the countdown is the only man, as of recording, to have won the Royal Rumble 3 times. Now, there are a few people who are eligible to match him, but I don't think any of them ever will. And number 2, the man who's won the Rumble 3 times is Stone Cold Steve Austin. The fact that he won 3 times was almost the catalyst for him being number 1, but I feel as though all of his Royal Rumble victories are a little, I won't say questionable, but they're not that same. They're not all equal in quality. And the fact is that Steve is so entertaining that, I mean, he's awesome. One of the best of all time, but the number 1. And the fact is, a lot of people believe this man is the best of all time. The number 1 Royal Rumble winner, both in my opinion and in lots of people's opinion. And it's to me one of the best executed Royal Rumbles ever. and that's when Ric Flair won his first ever WWF Championship by coming in at number 3. It's not fair to Flair, and with a tear in his eye, it's the greatest day of his life. Oh, just so many great elements within this match. I loved Rick winning. I loved Perfect being there for him. Post-match, the elements throughout the night, oh, so freaking good. Like, the storyline of Piper winning the Intercontinental title and then being capable of winning the world title during the main event, that was cool. Hogan being such a jealous lover, if you will, that when Sid has the ability to possibly beat Flair, Hogan then eliminates him, it's like, what are you doing, you weirdo? Oh my goodness, like, yeah, and then the Mania match that came from it was the She Was Mine Before She Was Yours storyline between Savage and Flair. I mean, it's just, I don't have enough words to say how much I enjoyed the Ric Flair storyline, both getting to the title by being the real world champion, and then what came after with Savage and Liz and all that awesomeness. But yeah, I look forward to seeing who wins the 2024 Royal Rumble, and I hope that they do such a great job crowning this winner of 2024 that they will instantly, jump to the top 10 of the countdown and be amazingly awesome. But yeah, when you're in the Royal Rumble time, when you're in WrestleMania season, it is easy to get lost in the nostalgia of the prior winners. And I look forward to seeing who picks up the victory this year. Thanks for watching. Come back next week for additional content. Enjoy.